Let's take a couple of moments and we'll walk through the illumination and dimmer settings on Pioneer's DEH-X4800BT. Right now the head unit is at its full brightness, and we can switch the dimmer on very easily by pressing and holding the back button for a couple of seconds. Press this button for a few seconds and the dimmer switches on, and you can see the brightness of the head unit drop dramatically. And in fact, it dropped so much that it may be too dim for me when I'm driving at night. I'd like to have the radio just a little bit brighter than that. And so with the dimmer still switched on, I'm going to press in on the volume control, and I'm going to roll along in the menu here until I find the illumination settings. Here's illumination, and we'll press enter there. I have the dimmer settings, but I want to get to the brightness settings. There we go. There's the brightness. We'll press enter. Right now the brightness is set to 1. That's the lowest setting. And remember, the dimmer is still on right now. So we're going to turn that up to, we'll say, brightness of 5 for my dimmer. So when the dimmer is switched on, the brightness will be at 5. That'll work pretty good. I'm going to press the band button to escape. And that takes me out to my source. Remember, the dimmer is still switched on right now. Let's turn the dimmer off. We'll press and hold this button for a couple of seconds to test it out. There, the dimmer is switched off and the head unit is up to its full brightness. We'll switch the dimmer back on, and it'll drop down to level number 5. There we go. That's good with the dimmer on. All right, so let me turn that off again. And we're back out to the dimmer being turned off. Let's go check out the brightness and the dimmer settings. We'll press in on the volume control, and we're going to roll along here until we find the illumination menu, and we'll press enter. So let's take a look at the dimmer settings. There's 2 different ways to make the dimmer work. We showed you the easiest way, which is press and hold the dimmer button here for a couple of seconds. That switches the dimmer on or off. So we have manual, that's pressing this and holding this button right here, but we also have a synchronize to the clock setting. If you want, you can synchronize the dimmer to your clock so it will switch on in the evening automatically at a certain time and switch off in the morning at a certain time. Let's go into those settings. Here, this will start the dimmer at 6 p.m. So we can adjust that, maybe make it 7:30 p.m. that the dimmer comes on. The dimmer switches on at 7:30 p.m. We'll press in on the volume control, and the dimmer turns off now at 6 a.m., but we want to make it maybe a little earlier than that. I'm going to make it 5:40 p.m. There we go. 5:40, not p.m., but 5:40 a.m. is when the dimmer switches off. Once you've made those adjustments, you can go back, and now your dimmer will synchronize to the clock. Let's go back one more, and we'll roll over to the brightness settings. We'll enter there. Right now my dimmer is turned off, so my brightness is set to 10. That's as bright as the head unit can be. If that's a little bit too bright for you, you'd like to make it a little dimmer, you can make an adjustment there. You can take it down to about 5 or 6. That's because we have the dimmer set to switch on, and it will take the brightness automatically to 5. So we have a couple of different settings to work with there. We'll take it back up to its full brightness. At any time, you can exit this menu by pressing the band button here to escape.